Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And we're always glad to have some of our friends from the legislature here. One of those, Joe Orgeron. Joe, thanks again for joining us, man.
Thank you, Keith. Good. Pleasure to be here.
We appreciate it. Look, there's so much stuff going on. First and foremost, I know we're so very thankful and had a nice Thanksgiving. And so I'm so glad you got the chance to spend some family time together.
I appreciated two of my daughters coming down, and it was good. And the other one at least called in, but we had a very, very good Thanksgiving celebration.
I like it. A lot of things we're thankful for is all the work that's being done. But I know that people are always asking you, hey, when is this going to be finished? When is that going to be finished? Why are they not working on this? Let's talk about some of those things that I know are big projects down in Lafourche.
Roads, we just recently got Highway 308 pretty much right in front of my house from Golden Meadow all the way up to the South Lafourche Bridge.
Right.
Repaved. They're not quite finished yet. They still have some restriping.
Right. Some of the striping.
The contractor actually had to come to LA 24 and actually do something, finish up this side before they came back. So it's good that that's getting done. Of course, anybody passing through Golden Meadow is going to see a lot of the elevated highway. You know, it's our largest infrastructure project, getting the 22-foot high elevated highway between Golden Meadow and up to Leeville now, which will ultimately go all the way to Fouchon.
Right.
And that'll allow us post-storms, which thank God we're at the end of hurricane season. We didn't have nothing.
Right.
But post-storms, we would be able to recover and get Fouchon back up in a much quicker time once we get that elevated highway completed. July 2027 is the estimated completion date.
And look, those things take time. They take a long time to go through, to get appropriated, to get the money for. You guys have been fighting for that. Archie's been fighting for that. And thank God we're at that point where work's being done.
Absolutely.
And they're going to get it done and fixed up and ready to go.
One that we're trying to get done is, of course, the Golden Meadow Bridge.
Right.
It's as I tell everybody at DOTD and everybody involved, it's my bridge of convenience. It's the one closest to my house. So, you know, I do occasionally get emails saying, you have no idea what the inconvenience is like to have this bridge out for over a year. And oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, that's exactly
Absolutely
right.
do.
You do.
But what's good is I'm getting a firsthand experience of the bureaucratic process involved in getting the work scope done. This is all things in the past, putting it out to bid, three contractors, approved contractors bidding on it, and then ultimately awarding the bid, watching them get the contract finalized, and now we're in the process where the winner of the bid is procuring all the equipment needed to do the patches, and actually a lot of the patches, which were I'd floated on Facebook. Basically, I have a lot of holes that need to be drilled in them, and they're actually doing instead of doing everything in the field underneath the bridge in the field, they're actually doing a lot of the pre-work right now. And whenever I put the owner of the contractor company to the question of when will we finally see you? I understand you're doing a lot now, but when will you be on site? He's basically telling me now that there's probably about a week, it was supposed to be December 1st, but now there's about a week, 2-week delay. So before Christmas, they will be on site and begin working. So hopefully in the next 14 days.
Right. So sometime before Christmas, again, they have these delays that you and I can't control. Very often they can't control, but it's just part of that process.
Correct. I was surprised to know that they're going to do all those, 52 different repairs of the bridge deck while the bridge deck is still up in the air, allowing the vessels. So a lot of that work will have to be done with tuggers and multiple man lifts and work crews getting under there and putting a lot of equipment.
Right.
So.
And again, people are assuming, oh, you don't know what my headache is when I can't cross that bridge because it's always up. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You know, you're right there. And that would be convenient to be able to cross it by you right there.
Absolutely. And the one way out now that I have to go northbound to at least to the Galiana Bridge is we have the other project, being the Galiana Airport Bridge, currently under construction, which is one-lane traffic. So it's a little bit of a dual inconvenience, but it's still progress going on. think they recently actually put that's what I guess they're going to do in this video is lift up the American flag, which is the form for the cross member.
Wow.
And that's been done. And actually yesterday they were making another tandem lift of putting the rebar, the actual rebar inner structure inside that form. So any day now they should be beginning to start pouring concrete in there, and of course they'll move over to the west side, to the LA1 side, and begin doing it. And in the kind of in the background, you could see between the 4-lane and LA1 is the connector highway, which it's all one contractor doing all the work. So they really don't want the road to be finished and people wanting to use the highway until the bridge is complete, because they need the space now. They need the lay down space.
Right.
So,
they've got to be able to work.
Right. But I see a vehicle in the video right there coming down that new work vehicle coming down the where the new connector highway will be. And but they are progressing quite nicely along with that one.
Yeah. So Jason, we appreciate that, and I appreciate you putting that information out there, Joe, for people to see, because I think sometimes they just need something tangible. They need to be able to see, okay, they're working on this. Every time they pass by, it may be at a time when things aren't really moving forward like they think. But so I appreciate the updates on those two. I know we got a lot to talk about. You always have so many things going on. People asking you for what they need. You talking about some of the legislative sessions that are coming and some of the things that you'll be working on. We're going to take a short break.
Sure.
All right. We'll come back and talk about that and a whole lot more.
Thank you, Keith.
All right. All right, guys. That'll do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A whole lot more with Joe Orgeron when we continue right here on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad to be joining you. Very glad to have back in studio with us State Representative Joe Orgeron. Joe, welcome back.
Thank you, Keith. Good.
We are so very glad that you've been able to do this and continue to do this. And I know you're hearing all the time about what people need, but they're going to start making selections here for committees.
Correct.
And I know you've been, let's talk about the ones you've served on. And I know you kind of want to keep serving on those.
Yeah, I serve on natural resources, so we take care of all the Gulf Coast energy, wildlife and fisheries, fishing, and hunting. I really love serving on natural resources. I also like Ways and Means, which is all the fees and tax collections. And I'm not a lawyer, but they put me on judiciary, and I appreciate that one as well. So it hasn't been decided yet, but whenever we get asked, I'll basically try to sign up for the same ones that I was originally on. And if it is, it is. If not, I'll have a new little focus I'll need to polish up on.
And you'll be able to do whatever you can. But look, from a judiciary standpoint, for those people that are open-minded and can look at those different laws that make sense, it's nice to be able to be asked to be on that, because it's just one of those things where they need level-headed people to be able to help make good decisions, right?
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a heck of a compliment, right?
Yeah, right.
As you and I are both very passionate about what we do.
Absolutely.
I like it. Let's talk about some of the legislation that you are needing to be able to push through, some of the things that maybe hadn't gone through that you want to do.
Well, last year, right before it was, oysters. I know that it's not a big deal, but at least in Grand Isle, there's alternative aquaculture, and they thought they had a certain amount of acreage that they could do, and then they learned, like right after session started, that it was only half as much as they thought.
Oh wow!
So I told them, I said, well, early on, let's put that in the hopper for next year. So I'm going to be doing something to expand that. In South Lafourche, Poseida, we still haven't gotten any kind of nursing nursing home or elderly health care facility.
Oh, wow,
so
that's right.
getting what's called a certificate of need, which is kind of the permit from the state,
CON.
which there's a moratorium on, would be something that I hope to work with Senator Mike Fessy to actually to get.
Yeah, because I know at one time where we had South Lafourche facility that got moved up the Bayou, that's now in Lockport.
Right.
It's the Broadway now, and so since that time, we've not really had an availability.
There's nothing down
to help
in
care
South
for our
Lafourche,
seniors
correct.
that need 24-hour care.
Right. So
Okay.
I'll be fighting for that.
Right.
Another one that I had tried previously was getting an amendment to the Constitution on the ballot for the people to choose, so that if any revenue comes from renewables in the Gulf of Mexico, if and when that should happen, that money would be dedicated, just like the Gomesa money from oil and gas, that money would also go to coastal restoration and resiliency building to protect our communities, such as Lafourche, Terrebonne, our levee system, the Morganza, the Gulf system, et cetera.
So as we move forward, as we're looking at what that renewable energy is, let's use the monies like we have from oil and gas. It just makes sense. That's a logical request.
Right. The vast majority of our current CPRA work that's doing in coastal restoration is coming from the BP oil spill fines, fines, and those fines will actually run out in 2032. So at that point in time, we're going to either have to have banked up a little bit of money in the meantime, or have a mechanism to continue funding our coastal restoration master plan. We're spending about a billion with a B, $1 billion a year through CPRE for various statewide, from all the way from Texas to the Mississippi border, on coastal restoration projects. And whenever the BP oil spill fine money runs out, we're going to have another alternative revenue stream.
Yeah, we got to find a way to replace that $1 billion, because quite frankly, we need it, that $1 billion every year.
Right.
And people always think about, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. Well, think about how wide that landscape is.
Oh, yeah.
About what we're doing to all of the different things we need to protect that environment.
Well, some of the other mechanisms that even though it's federal, here in the state we're pushing on, and that's whether it's the BREEZE Act or the RISE Act, something that Senator Cassidy and Majority Leader Steve Scalise are both pushing, which is basically to remove a cap on the amount of revenue from oil and gas that we currently get, and removing that cap so that we actually get our fair share of what gets produced out of the Gulf of Mexico. So removing the cap, changing the Gomesa formula on what we get, and of course continuing hydrocarbon production, along with the addition of renewables, and just continue to be funding the coastal restoration. Let the coast take care of the coast.
Right, and quite frankly, it's just the most logical thing. Let us do the production that we need, how we need it in the Gulf, and let us use that money to protect the coast with the Gulf. Along the Gulf side. And those things. Got about a minute left. What are some of the things that you really hope to see here as we're moving forward here, some of the changes that we're hoping to make? There's been a lot of changes. You're looking forward to working with a lot of new people, huh?
That's right. You got new legislators. My new neighbor to the west, Jessica Domain. Actually, a
licensed clinical social worker. I think you'll find we're interesting to deal with.
Looking forward. This coming weekend, we have a dinner to meet all the new representatives across the state.
That's wonderful.
That are in there, and we're going to be having our delegation meeting and officially naming our Speaker of the House, I would imagine, and hopefully voting on Speaker Pro Tem, some of those top positions. So it's looking forward to starting another session.
Yeah. And again, it's not just a session, but it's getting to know those people and seeing the things that they're passionate about, seeing some of those people you can partner with, right?
Absolutely.
About moving things and getting things moved
Nobody's
through.
an expert in everything. So it's good to partner with people that are experts or have been professionally experts in certain fields.
In their certain areas. Joe, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for your service. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and that will do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.